So I'm just doing some, gotta get your specs on. I want to unify the painting. So we're gonna do some, I want brown, a little yellow, I guess, maybe, yeah, brownie yellow mix. Let me see here. I'm just mixing color. So I'm unifying the entire painting by putting a wash on the whole thing. I want to calm these wings down, and I want this transition to be a little gentler. And I want to finish this painting today. So kind of what happened with the last piece where I was working on the family portrait, the monsters, once it got close to the end, I didn't really show you the final steps on stream, but there's a video up kind of finalizing everything in my reels. If you're wondering what happened to that piece, it's actually right here. Always microfiber. You don't want to like really scratch the piece, like, so you don't want to I have like clean microfibers and ones for like, you know, cleaning everything else, so that I know that there's not going to be any like paint on this cloth. Anyways, that's the finished piece of, to show you who are watching the stream the last couple days. I'll get some photos of it up pretty soon. That boobs, it needs more darker vibe, but not much. Anyways, back to Maddie, what's up? I'm back to my painting that is happening now. So actually, we're gonna wash this is dried overnight, so it's touch dry. You wouldn't call it like cured or anything. So these are just, this is an oil painting. And back to what I was saying, I'm going to put some, I want to make things more gentle. I want things to transition nicely between the background and the wings, specifically the wings right now. So I'm going to mix my, here's my liquid. Here's the mix that you saw me doing. Maddie, what's cooking? Okay, so then just a little bit. You see, so here's all the main mix, but here's what we're going to do for the glaze, just around here. And now you can see it looks a lot more light dark brown than like a black. You can see that, right? That's enough. Let me see. I need to see it better. I just wanted to show you what I was doing. Okay. I think that's enough. And now you're going to see me after it's dried overnight. Now I really want to cover the majority of the painting, but we're going to do it in stages. Caden, thank you. Nice to see you. So here we go. Normally I would have music, but you know that I'm going to stop complaining about that. But stream, just sing for me so I can paint. You can't have any music when you're streaming. And the music they give you, the options you get are going to throw yourself down a hill. All right. So I'm actually, you see, I'm not following the lines or anything. I'm just going along the edges pretty quickly. Oh, I want to touch these. You know what? We're going to get everything here. I am conscientious of what I'm doing, so it's not complete. Because if what I've done needs to be adjusted, I wouldn't even call it mistake. If I just need to adjust some things, I want to catch it as early as possible. But remember, I'm talking about moving the painting, merging the painting gently with the background while putting some more depth into the wings. Hi, Pumpkins. What's that? Oh, cool. Jet bottle. Okay. Thanks, honey. Okay. This is a dry brush. No, I'm going to pull it in using what's already on the panel. I'm not adding any more right now. But you see, I'm also just blending what I put on there, pulling it in. I'm using what's on the brush to cover everything else, so I don't want everything to be too heavy. And then what I'll decide is okay, do I like this glaze? And how much do I like it? It's fine right now. I don't mind it. But you see, I'm pulling the rest of it into the shadow. One, you don't want to leave any lumps of glaze on here, so you want it all to be smoothed out. Let's see what else we're talking about. Seeing. Well, I can't say her name. Scarf, Mordnite Scarf, Morty. My eyes are bad. And you can draw this out with acrylic first. And when you paint with acrylic, you can draw really easily. I promise you, because you just keep at it. You just keep putting black over white over black over white. You can look at some of the other videos I've done where you just learn to draw with acrylic paint, and it just takes a while, but to get this figure is not, believe it or not, that the details, you know, come with time, but to get like the figures in your drawings easier than you might think, because that's coming for someone who used to also not be able to draw very well. It was not my forte. Now I put a glaze. I'm gonna put a little more, actually using the dry brush that I was using, but I just want to see what this does when I touch in some of these lines here. Now I need to decide which direction I'm going. These glazes will dry really fast. You got to be aware of that, because I wouldn't say they dry as fast as acrylics, but careful, they get tacky. They don't like dry, they get tacky. And that can be a good thing or a bad thing depending on what you're trying to accomplish. But I want to now leave the wings alone, but I'm going to put a layer around here to kind of merge them together, but it's got to be a little darker. And we're actually going to go, we're going to get crazy. I'll show you in a sec. Why am I pretending to paint? I'm not pretending, my friend. So I just put some blue in there. Imagine doing a stream where you weren't painting, but you were just pretending. I think you're onto something. You just pretend. I've seen some of those, actually. Some of those guys do that with AI. So there's no medium in this. There's medium in this. I want a bit of a darker background for my background. Darker color for my background. Okay. Now we'll pull over my a little too much pigment. So, calm down. Calm down. Everybody calm down. Now this, you can see the difference in the two glazes. One, I want more pigment in this. I want it to be more of a heavier wash. I can add a little more liquid in when I set this down, but it's good for you to see. This is the first wash I put over the wings. Now this is going to be more for the background that I'll try to make work all across. And then this will unify the bird with the background in a really cool way, especially for when working in the shadows. Working in the shadows. So you saw I put some blue in there. I already have a lot of brown. And now you're going to see me do this. I'll touch the wings a little bit. I'm not afraid. Don't be afraid. I'm sticking to one area for now, because I'm just seeing what's happening. You really kind of got to monitor. I said earlier, like being conscientious, because if I can't give you an example off the top of my head what could go wrong right now, but maybe if it was too thick and there wasn't enough liquid, I would notice that, and I'm not looking for that. I'm not looking for a heavy like base coat right now. I'm just looking for, this is a heavy glaze, but remember, I'm trying to have a nice transition over here. Let's see here. Calm some things down. But you see the difference of the glaze, for those that don't know. Like when I paint on top of this, I'm not covering everything. It's just a light, translucent layer, even though this is pretty heavy. You don't want to miss any areas too, if possible. But because it's a glaze, it's very forgiving. So if you did miss something, you wouldn't be hard to detect. But you'll get further along if you don't miss. Just seeing how these wings are doing. Some of them, remember, I want to pull them into the darkness. Pull them into the darkness. Just covering the whole thing. You'll also start to notice like some major gains as it does start to get a little hard, tacky. You can start to see what you're getting accomplished. Sometimes this seems a little bit not aimless, but you don't see the full effects until maybe a few hours, to be honest, but definitely a few minutes, half an hour. I'll start to see these glazes start working. I wouldn't call it a chemical reaction, but you'll just see where they really land, where things really land. So when I'm hitting these wings, I didn't just pad my brush with a new glaze. You see the difference. Like I'm making some major, I'm impacting quite a bit. So here's a dry brush. Calm it down. You don't need to do anything dramatic. It's a slow game, this glazing game. It's a slow game. You can touch it now that I don't really have as much glaze on the brush. And then that's a good time to hit the edges. Slow game. USMCs, what's USMCs? I'm not familiar. Or I'm blanking. So I'm going around the entire piece to unify it. If someone knows a good like streaming thing that I can use for my stream for my music, I've tried a bunch and I kind of have given up. But if anyone knows like where I can, like I was trying different YouTube channels and they would still ding me. But if anyone knows of like a good way to like listen to music that I'm never gonna have a problem, but that's half decent, just half decent, like just a little bit okay. Like I don't want to like play stuff that's in the elevator. Just half decent, just like something to like drown out my breathing into the microphone. Let's touch up his beak. You see, it's so minimal, the results and the progress when you're glazing is such a slow burn. And for someone like me, that's taken a long time to get used to. Because you want like results now. I want to see things like happening now. But the magic of glazing is like over time. And you do these multiple layers. You're just toning things down ever so slightly every time you touch it. You're not making any giant movements. Kind of all that's been done already when you're plotting out your painting. Now you're just becoming a gentle person. Just be a gentle little guy. Don't make any, and for me, for the longest time, that's really hard. I'm always aggressive and making dramatic, like impacting the painting every time I touch it. With this style, you want to, there's other times where that's really important. You want to be like emotional and chaotic. Now is not one of those times. Make your own music, but don't publish it. Use Suno for a month and download the instrumental music. X-ration? Cheers, man. Yeah, no, Suno keeps popping up, right? I've never opened it. I haven't. I saw Timberland promoting AI music, which I think is kind of crazy, but yeah, Suno seems to be on everyone, like kind of the top of the heap right now, right? I guess I gotta open it. And so they make decent music, and obviously if you make it yourself, you can kind of just like, hey, copy this style, just make beats. Yeah, so do they have playlists that you can use for free, or they'll ding you too? Because I saw some headline, some thumbnail saying like Suno's like getting you, like, I don't know. But yeah, no, I appreciate it. If Suno's worth checking out, I will. Excretion, is that your name? No. Is it? It's a good app. I love it. What is an inspiration for this piece? Oh, I've been doing a bunch of mutant, I wouldn't call this guy a mutant, but like war machine hybrids of, I was really impacted over the last probably couple weeks just with the news cycle. And I painted a monk. I'll show you. This kind of guy started it all. 1 second, I'll show you. Where's my cloth? This guy kind of started, I've been painting like nature with war machines over the years. It's not like one of my signature things, but this guy kind of like, I'm older, so I don't think of the future of like robots and like drones, in the sense that the next generation after me is more used to really like significant impacts of technology in daily life. I still think of the 80s where you would have like kind of steampunk machines and weapons. So there's this element of like combining today, where we are at today, but I still live in like, you know, a decade behind or a couple decades behind, where we wouldn't have guessed we guessed a little bit, like, science fiction, but like what are the war machines going to be like in the future, and how are they going to impact us? And like the more and more I hear the news, it's like there's going to be a lot of drone shit, and we've heard about it, we've seen some stuff. I know in certain wars they're already, the drones are very impactful, but I still think of like strapping a bomb on a bird. I don't know if I can say that. I don't even know what I can say anymore. I get weird things sometimes now with my content. Anyways, like strapping some sort of machinery, war machine, onto like a bird, because that's all I could come up with. I couldn't create a drone. The best my mind can come up with is like, okay, we'll just strap a bomb, strap this onto the bird, send it, see what happens. And then also I imagine that nature's pushing back. Another angle of this stuff is like nature is just fed up with humanity. And then this is obviously an iconic symbol, so there's a lot of symbolism in this, which I think you can have your own interpretation. Like a kamikaze kind of position, or the state of the world, right? The simple answer to what my inspiration is just the state of the world. It's just kind of impacted me, and I'm just kind of like, it is almost like a diary. And so these integrating like old school ideas of weaponry with where we're at today. Like I wanted to make sure this clock and everything was like analog, like even like analog, and then of course the iconic bald eagle. And then I did some like swans or pelicans, and I'm thinking about flamingos, and I'm thinking about all kinds of different animals that are, some of them I do want them to be mutated, where they're like half machine, like hybrids. But again, not where we are today with technology. I don't want them to be like quantum machines, or like AI robots. I'm still stuck in the past in that way, and so I think I'm trying to have some levity to the state of things, because the state of things seem to be pretty heavy, because you kind of just see what's happening in my work. If I look at it myself, like, wow, things are heavy, man. So that's kind of, I think, a rambling version of what I'm painting. So remember, I painted the entire piece today already. As in, I put a wash over everything, so everything is now, there was a light glaze, like a lighter, both were dark, but one was lighter, and that's what I hit the wings with. And then I put a darker on the background. The background needed it, just needed to be touched again, like painted on. But then I wanted them to really, you see, you want some distinction between the wings and the background, but kind of less is more. Less is more. So where the wings end and where the background begins, in some places, if it's indistinguishable, is probably a win. That makes things also a little more forgiving, right? I don't need these like really intense lines distinguishing from the background and the wings. I like that. That's kind of fun of working in the shadow. Now we're going to move towards the beak. Again, stick with the glazes. We're in the glaze zone, and what that means is I'm not hitting anything with any significance. Everything is just a build-up, layers and layers. The more layers, the better. Let's go here. So now I can't put my finger onto the canvas because it's all wet. The entire piece is wet. Before I do, sorry, just forgot something. Just want to do something. I do want to make sure I touch these. Here's the truth. If I'm talking, I'm really not paying attention to what I'm doing. There's a difference between shutting up and painting and yapping to you about what I'm doing. There's a bit of a disconnect. So sometimes when I go silent, it just means I'm really trying to accomplish something. So that eye's like a little sloppy, but remember, it's really easy to, it's very malleable, it's very workable. All I just did now is I cleaned my brush and dried it off and just pushed the paint around. I don't want to lose too much of that eye. I have a couple different references for the beak, because there's a few where the wings of the eagle were really good, but the beak was just not right. So you kind of combine different references, picking like the parts of each piece that you like. So obviously the darker colors are going to dominate the lighter colors. But with glazing, what happens is if I put some dark color here now, when I come back, you know, in a couple hours or later today, I'm going to make sure that the lighter top layers kind of like work with the layers underneath. You're never really, you're working together. You're never trying to correct or change the layers underneath too much. You want them to work together. I actually kind of like the way the clock looks. I want the wires to be, oh shit. I want the wires to be like a different kind of red than the bars and the dynamite. So once you like start picking away at things, the amount of liquid you might have in your palette is shit. The amount of liquid is in this case I don't have as much liquid. This is a little bit hard. Normally I'd probably do this in a bit when I can touch my canvas, because I want to get close. I want to get close. But there is still liquid in this mix. So if I make a mistake, you can fix it right quick. I think it's just an eagle, like a bald-headed eagle. Organic silver moon design. Cheers, man. American eagle, yeah. You know what I'm terrible at? Dog breeds, different fish, and like a lot of different animals. That does not come easy for me. Oh, that's a spotted, endangered. I don't know any of that stuff. Fish, though, are the craziest. Like when people know, like, largemouth bass, smallmouth bass, rainbow trout. What else? What other names do I got? Salmon. And then if you can actually distinguish what's what, that's impressive. But that's not to say I like the outdoors, though. In all fairness, I've always been a huge outdoors advocate, camping and everything. I'm on the lower end of the totem pole when it comes to knowing plants, and you can eat that one, can't eat that one. Oh, that spider's poisonous, that one's not. I think that's a really amazing skill set that I'll never be able to like discern or understand. So yeah, like the bird, like if you told me the bird, like there's probably what 100 different types of eagles. I'll go a little closer for you because I'm gonna hit this head, steelhead, flounder, perch, dragons, American eagles. Nice. Dragons. Yeah, yeah, I love hiking and licensed diver. So you mean like scuba diving? That's the thing, like if you threw me in the ocean and there was like different like schools of fish, I wouldn't have any clue of what's what. Like I bet you a child would know more than I do when it comes to like the types of fish. I don't know why it just never stick. Like I've been around things growing up for forever, and I'm not like young, but for whatever reason, it just doesn't land. It doesn't stick. I guess dog breeds I do like. I'm not completely lost. I know like if I see a little bulldog or whatever, but if you said, oh no, that's a French something something, I'm like okay. It wouldn't register, and I wouldn't remember. And I think I could tell you the difference between a Great Dane and like a pit bull. So I guess I got to give myself some. I do land somewhere on the chart, just very low IQ on the dog breeds. So I was already thinking about this, believe it or not. I don't know if it was last night or I don't know. I don't think my dream, but when everything is not just white. It's variations. It's nuanced, and you want that glaze because I don't want to make anything. The secret here, I think, what I was thinking about is just remember just like a slow build up. So here's a dry brush. I mix in with what I just put down, and there's not very much. And this is a glaze, of course. And you're pulling it in the direction as your reference. If it looks too strong or too aggressive, or it's not working with what you have down already, with the glaze you can just tone it down, calm it down. And you're trying to also mimic and match the hair strokes, right? They're not like squirrely pubic hairs. They're not matted. There's a bit of matting, but they're not long hairs. It's not the same as a lion's mane or a dragon's scales, and so there's shapes and highlights and brush strokes that would mimic the hair. And it's not overwhelming, I promise you, because it's just layering. It's just layering. And it's also not just like as simple as you think. You see white on the reference photo, it doesn't mean that it's white. It's a cream, it's a gray. It might be lighter in value than some of the other parts. So there is more white in it, and it's a lighter value, but it's also just not just like out of the tube. And you mix in with your liquid so that as it dries, as it cures, it really does start to work with the layers underneath. And that's why it's not overwhelming, because I'm not really a good like fur painter. I was watching some hair tutorials on YouTube this week or last week, like recently. How do you paint animal hair? How do you paint human hair? I want to see how other people do it. With the glazing, I find it's a great way to accomplish it, because it's just a matter of a build-up. Hair is tough. Hair is tough, especially if you're trying out of the gate to like accomplish it in like a setting. That can be a disaster. For me, that's like really tough. But knowing I've been painting this for a couple days now, and not all day, right? Just putting on some, trying to figure out, okay, over here is darker. Over here is a little bit darker than here. This area is lighter than here. So we are, you know, we're paying attention to detail. But with not a lot of pressure. If I, like right now, if it's still not working, I just let it dry all day for the next little while, and I'll come back at it in a couple hours. And just like if this looks stupid or doesn't look right, you just work on it again. But you keep what you've done. That's the secret to this style of painting and glazing. You keep what you've done. You everything's not for nothing. I think we're used to, or I'm certainly come from a place where like every time you're putting a new layer, you're changing it. This is a little bit different, a different mindset. You're not changing everything. You're working with what you've done. I'm blabbing. What are you guys saying? Good job, Dan. Quantum, beautiful Fezzy. Let's see, monkey prank. Shuby, hey Tyler, is your anti-hero monkey prankster painting for sale? Yes. Why so monk? Oh, the monkey Joker. Yeah, the monkey Joker sold. Shuby, monkey Joker sold. But I have my monkey warrior here. I was just showing off. I thought you meant this one. Here's my monkey warrior. He's up in the store. All right. Okay. Yeah, Monkey Joker. I like that one too. That was like really intense shadows. That was my most intense painting when it comes to like, it was very hard to actually see it in, I guess in certain lightings, but I just really made the, like you could see only, the majority of the palette was just dark. There was very little lights, and that was kind of one of the earlier pieces that I did where I'm working in the shadows. The Monkey Joker. Yeah, another way of thinking about like just putting animal, which is not new at all, and I take no. There's a lot of great artists that, and there's a word for when you put the animals into human contexts and give them human sort of attributes. There's a word for it, and if I saw it, I wouldn't even be able to say it. It's long. I can't remember. But yeah, there's a lot of great artists that put animals into the human world, taking on human roles, Here's a little bit different because I really am trying to be like a mad scientist. And with the technology of an imbecile. Maybe that's the best way to describe this. I'm a mad scientist who's an idiot. So I do want to leave myself room to make mutants and kind of weird animals that are merging with weaponry and stuff. But I just don't have a really high IQ, so the best I can do is just like strap on this thing to a bird. And then putting them in scenarios where, you know, it's just really ironic or symbolic. But I think I touched on something that I stand behind that I just said. I'm a mad scientist who's really stupid. But I have a dream. I'm a mad scientist, man. I just don't have, like, have very limited resources. You never hear about a mad scientist with limited resources, right? They always have everything they need and more. Or they're trying to just get one more piece of like plutonium or something in order to make it happen. For me, I got like a basket of crayons, a couple wild birds I found in the woods. Let's see what we can do with that. Or like a wish version of a mad scientist. Timu, mad scientist. Now, in all fairness, there are some areas that are stronger. And like clumps, which like everything is not just one single hair over and over and over again. There's clumps that make it that are important. So you pick out those clumps. And the clumps you want, again, in the same direction as the reference. So you can map it onto something, you have some real, you can see what you're really doing. It's not random. And the clumps are going to work in tandem with your shadows. So if it's going to be a clump that's in the shadow, it's going to be a darker value. These clumps up top here. And then at some point you have to migrate away a little bit from your reference because it just, yeah, if it looks good, work with it. Doesn't matter if it's the same as the photo. If it looks good, work with it. All right. Where's more clumps? And you don't want just like one clump here and then the rest of the painting is one like little hairlines. That's not cool, man. I wonder if this is tacky yet. Yeah, it's like I could put my finger on it, but it'll leave an imprint into it. But I could touch this right now, and so that's oil paints for you, right? Oil's never, well, thin layers of oil with a liquid, they dry pretty quick. And I need that for this kind of style because I need to I will paint this again today so that I can finish it today. And just taking my own advice, I would put the clumps in now, and even if they're not quite right, later on I can kind of fix them up with some light glazes on top to tone things down. Like if I put some values that are just too high, that don't make sense, you can tone them down. But you just want to have some clumps in there to make it. That's what I see that in the birds, that kind of matted hair, the clumpy hair. So that's what it needs to be if you want it to look at least somewhat real. Shuby. Yeah, the monkey Joker sold. But the monkey warrior, the monkey soldier is up. Available. But the monkey Joker sold. Are you there, Shuby? You know, a lot of painting is just like trial and error. Like, I can put marks down that seem like I know what I'm doing, and they just don't work. Like they're off, or they take the element or the subject in a different direction. And that's kind of like what I always preach, is about like adding and subtracting and like paint so that you can paint. You just need to like get things out, and then you might have to fix it up a bit. Like that's kind of the whole thing. But at this pace that I'm going at currently, it's very like, you know, it's a, dare I say, methodical, but it's, you know, slow. The massive shifts are less likely, or the massive mistakes are less likely, but they still happen. Like, I was kind of just thinking, like, I'm putting some marks on right now, and I have, obviously you build with experience and you get better. Like, I know that I want this to be this wire to be highlighted here, because I'm imagining the light source, so the wire in the back is a little darker. But sometimes you can kind of fudge things, and when you're fudging them, or you're imagining something, it can just be wrong or just not right. And you just kind of work with it. You might need some tinkering. Kind of felt like I had the feet a little tighter earlier, but with the glazes on top, it took some of it away. And there used to be times where I would be like, certain problems used to feel like really big problems, and now they don't even register as like issues. They just need to be worked again or reworked. There was something I did really recently that I remember earlier in my paintings, it would have been like game over. And for me, I didn't even like blink twice. So like, you know, once you solve certain painting problems, that stays with you. Like, that solution is now a tool in your tool belt. So when you come across something similar in the same kind of department that needs a solution, you can do it because you've solved that problem before. But I remember, I'm blanking on the exact example, but it was just something like, oh, who cares? I can fix that in a second. Whereas in the past, I remember I was like, oh my God, it's almost like I just destroyed the piece, or this is going to take forever to fix, and I don't even have the energy anymore. Like, yo, it was a big problem. But going through that, then you can carry that with you into the new work, those solutions, that skill set, the problem solving. It comes with you. It doesn't get lost. Again, hair like is a really good example. Some pieces of the hair just is like horrifying and just doesn't work. So there's a number of paintings that I kind of dedicated a lot of time to hair to see to try to solve that, it's just like a puzzle. And there's like techniques, and there's things that make things a lot easier to get the hair down. In this case, I have a little more confidence because of the glazing that I'm doing, which means that, you know, in an hour, a couple hours, there's something that looks wrong with this hair, and go hit it again. So it doesn't feel like a lot of stress, or that I'm damaging or wrecking it. Especially in this like white kind of hair, you don't have anything that's very aggressive, even though it might look like that. Everything is subtle. Try some more highlights on the bird, the beak. See if I can get somewhere. So I was kind of winging the bird beak, but I need to go back to it. Hey, sweet. Where are you located? I'm in Thailand. I have a church in a few hours. I'll get some. Okay. Organic Silver Moon. Great to see your name. Solvent check. Are you in CA? I used to. I'm just trying to catch you more. Oh, yeah, I'm pretty random with this still. I'm still trying to get into a groove. I don't know if I'll ever get one. Sometimes I wake up and I really don't mind kind of turning on the camera, and other days I'm just, oh, no thanks. Like it's pretty draining. Once it's going, kind of like it, so I don't want to complain, but it's hard to like get me in a rhythm or a schedule. But usually probably this will be the time, and then maybe in your morning sometimes, like I might throw it on at night, but this is all kind of new for me, so I'm just talking out loud. But I appreciate you, and get some rest. Have some good dreams. Sometimes making things up will actually work out really well, and sometimes it's really in your best interest to stick with the reference. I'm figuring that out with this one right now. I'm not sure if I should just kind of rework towards an actual beak of an eagle. Kind of straight away. Because in all honesty, all the beaks are pretty simple. Like they're just like kind of like a gradient, a yellow, kind of orangey, bright yellow gradient. And I don't know, just wanted his to be beat up, worn down. But not ridiculous. Like I don't want it to look stupid or foolish. Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely keep streaming. That's kind of my goal for the next little while. It's definitely streaming, so I'll have more on there, and then I upload them. Like I just keep them up there. So if there's any like certain like parts or something, ask me, and I can tell you. I think I'll be able to like help navigate you to where there might be a good like kind of breakdown of what I'm talking about in a certain video. So certain, because I show in this video I didn't show you the painting the underbody of this at all. I just skipped that, but I wanted to give you some finishing details this morning because the last painting I also didn't do that. So it's kind of flip-flopping between different stages of the pieces. One of my abilities is to be no, I'm not going to go there. I was just going to say I hear myself talking sometimes and I think like, what the hell is this guy talking about? Almost like a third person. You don't need to tell me. I'm well aware of what's going on. What are you talking about? I don't even think that's self-doubt. It's just sometimes I'm rambling and I'm like, Jesus. What? Is anybody listening to me? Does anyone know that old reference? I'll give you another hint. I'll tell you who. It was that damn Sasquatch. Is anybody listening to me? Does anyone know that reference? Okay, cool. Good to know. I'm definitely self-conscious of my, I guess, my voice and my ramblings. But it's nice to know that my voice is at least not annoying or off-putting. And I don't think I could have done this even streaming like 10 years ago. I think I would have been too self-conscious where I just wouldn't be able to commit to actually talking out loud. That's a benefit of getting older. It's kind of, you do have less resistance to certain things. Some things actually resistance gets more extreme, like more anxieties over certain things, but some of them also get lessened. Some things are easier to do that were way more challenging when I was younger. Now we'll get a little kind of experimental. I want these wings to look good. So they just need a little more attention. And everything is subtle. This game is all subtlety. It's just subtlety compounded. You're just compounding subtlety. Sometimes it can be off balance. Like maybe I'm putting these lines in and they're literally too faint. Like they just don't have any sort of effect. So I just kind of, I went a little more, put a little more paint on there to make them actual into lines. And so sometimes you can get a little too subtle. But nearing the end, a little too subtle is not a bad thing. Where you're not even making any sort of progress. That's okay. You're just chilling. That's kind of that would land into the department of just having a good time, enjoying your painting, enjoying your process. Or like making marks that just don't have any sort of significance or impact or effect, essentially. But I think they all do. It's just, like I said, compounding. It's all compounding. And later today, you'll start seeing me do more lines like that. I need to eat, so I'm not going to even really try. But later today, whether I'm live or not, what I'll do is I'll start going back over the entire piece and just start putting in like smaller details that are still going to land in the camp of subtle, but like hairs, and maybe I'll start like poking around here a little more, like the hairs protruding outside, that kind of stuff. I haven't really done any, and like maybe some areas where I want to put some highlights on some of the feathers, a little more nuances. Some defining characteristics, that kind of thing. And then I'll play with his beak a little more. I want to wash it again, meaning like put a nice coat So before I leave you, I'm just gonna, his eye is also wrong. Or maybe it's right, I want to let that sit, see how I feel about it. I think I want his like pupil to be larger. Fix up the feet. So you can see I'm just using some of the yellow glaze that I was using on the beak, and I'm just adding it in over here, just a little bit. Definitely can get carried away with stuff like that. You don't want that. But it's okay to pull things around. And now I'm adding a little red. I think that's too much, so I stopped. But just pulling some red around. Add some life, right? That's stylistic shit stuff. And if it's a little too aggressive, just move it around with a dry brush. That just comes into like what you think it looks good, or what do you enjoy that. Some people might not be as inclined to do that. I have like some green from earlier that I was mixing in. So now I have this like green glaze on here. Why? I just think it really helps when you start seeing like little pockets of color that are ever so, remember these subtleties. There is green in here, believe it or not. There's definitely green in here, in these shadows. And if you put too much in, you can clean it up. Greens everywhere, by the way. Greens and browns are kind of the magic, especially for skin's like lots of blues and greens and peaches, pinks. Throwing in colors like that into a face, like how I'm doing now, is really enjoyable too, because like in certain lights you can see your veins and your stuff that you don't think you see, or something that like a photo might not pick up, but when you add it into a painting, it again, it's not the way that I apply this is not for everyone, but those colors are there. So how you get to them. That's it for today, my friends. Can you please tell me what glaze you're using? Yeah, greens and blues I think have like the most variations, if I recall that as well. Blue and green, that would make sense. Tootin', thank you, Pete. Incredible painting always, man. Pale, below, night organic, OSMD. Have a great sleep. See you guys. I'm gonna come back later. Bye.